Hi, my name is Shreejita. Right now, I serve as Strategic Initiatives Lead at Rocket Learning. I've been at Rocket for about 2.5 years now, and I've gone on multiple hats. I've played different roles. When I joined Rocket, I joined as a program lead for Haryana, and at that point, my role essentially involved helping launch our tech product into Haryana, liaising with the government, collaborating with the other non-profit organizations that were also working in Haryana, and then coming together to work and focus on FLN and BCC. And from there on, over the 2.5 years, I served as a program lead for Haryana, for Chandigarh, for Uttarakhand, and for Madhya Pradesh. Our main aim was that there's so much work being done in our Anganwadis across India, and our Anganwadi Didis and the kids and the parents, there is so much happening already, and that is one of the most vast ECCE system across the world, in fact. And how do we tap into that, and how do we support the government in just growing from where they already are, right? One of the main things that I worked on for the last year or so that I was at Rocket Learning, the entire Poshan Bhi Padhai Bhi aims to bring education just as much with nutrition, which is reflected very adequately in its name. And the focus is on transforming the Anganwadi centers as centers for excellent education, along with, of course, being very pivotal centers for fighting malnourishment. One of the things while working with the WCD officials at various levels, one of the things that was very surprising and very motivating was that all the officials were very, very invested in the idea of making sure that the Anganwadi centers are excellent education centers as well. And that learning and development at this age for the kids is not just about reading books or writing or just sitting in how a typical classroom image has the kids sitting, right? But that it should involve play, it should involve activities, it should be in the mother tongue of the child, so it should have all of our official languages as well, and that it should be accessible and inclusive. So it should also have initiatives and spaces to be able to accommodate kids with different needs as well, which is known as the Divyang children within our government. And I think just seeing the lens for that and hearing all the officials or having conversations with them and understanding about how do you take this one initiative and make sure that it reaches that last mile effectively, and that when it reaches as a very inclusive initiative and not a very targeted one, but rather one that is just meant to stay here and is going to be super inclusive for all the kids, and is going to be, of course, beneficial while meeting the Anganwadi workers where they are and making sure that they are also well equipped for that. I think that is the one milestone that we had. And then, of course, launching of NAP, which is the National Action Plan for Toys, which NIPS had launched along with WCD. That was a huge milestone for us, because just watching toys and education and development for kids just being celebrated, acknowledged, and then being focused on and being prioritized at a national level, it was a very, very good, strong signal that the government cares about ECC and is taking very strong steps towards improving that, across all of our Anganwadi centers. So that was a huge milestone for us. And I think one of the great milestones itself was the formal launch of Poshan Bhi Padhai Bhi initiative, done by the WCD minister, and just her talk and all of the entire event about how Anganwadi babies will play such a crucial role in it, and how it's going to bring education in a very playful and in a very activity-based way across all the Anganwadis, to make sure that kids don't just come to Anganwadi for nutrition or for their daily ration, but that they come there to be able to learn while they're playing, to be able to interact, and to be able to gain very, very crucial life skills. In terms of all the work that we did at Rocket, right? And I think one of the unique things that we do at Rocket is that we work with the national government. So we have that nationwide lens of scale, of policy, and also understanding the limitations that come with just India being the diverse country that it is. And at the same time, we also work on the ground with the actual parents whose kids are going to the Anganwadis, with the Anganwadi Didis, and we have constant touch with them, almost regular daily touch with those stakeholders that all of these national policies are actually trying to affect. Having that entire span was extremely beneficial and very unique, and one of our key pillars, which allowed us to look at, like you said, right, like the wicked problem of education. It allowed us to look at this problem from all angles, like how is this being formulated for at the national level, and then ultimately how is it being implemented, and then what are the gaps there. And that perspective allowed us to, of course, we ran a bunch of researches, we did surveys, and also that our product itself was also getting us a lot of insights on what parents need more or what they value more and what the Anganwadi workers need more and what do they value more and what are their main roadblocks and what are their main challenges, and then be able to take those on-ground insights and then bring that and scale that with the national level government authorities and work on integrating those insights that are happening today in real time to policies which are going to be affected in the near future. I think one of the biggest thing is that it allowed us to a huge extent, minimize the time lag that happens, that implementation starts to face problems today. And then by the time that it reaches back to the government, 6 months, 1 year has already passed. And then by the time that it gets solved for, another 6 months have passed. And by that time, the implementation problems have themselves evolved into something else. But because Rocket works across the entire span, we were able to get that real-time data and that real-time feedback. We were able to run a lot of quick surveys, a lot of quick studies that we needed so that we made sure that we were hearing the people that we were surveying for and that we weren't solving just for them, but rather with them by keeping them as our collaborators and not just keeping them in the center, but like I said, also keeping them as collaborators and also making sure that their voices and their strengths and concerns echo in the policy recommendations and the overall conversations that we are having about being able to improve education at a national level. And I think that was one of the most beautiful parts of working with Rocket Learning, on the just being as a part of the entire operation through and through. Another thing is that about how mission driven and also how data and evidence driven we have been because of our tech and our product, all the insights that we were able to get and the amount of scale that we were able to reach, the lives that we were reaching, working across various states, also made sure that we had a heterogeneous pool of stakeholders that we were serving. So we knew what would work in an urban area, in a semi-urban area versus in a rural area. And just being able to have that kind of a width, as well as having the depth of being in regular constant touch with the stakeholders. Those were the biggest things and the biggest takeaways that I have in being able to solve such systemic problems or being able to solve for very wicked social problems that continue to exist in education. So working and growing with Rocket across 2.5 years, we went from having just one state to working in 9 states, across with 1.5 million children, about 70,000 Anganwadi workers, as well as being strategic partners to WCB India. And across all of this time, all the growth that we had and all the impact that we have strived to create across the 2 years, I think it has, of course, been deeply fueled by the passion and the vision and the mission that each of us bring. But along with that, it has also been fueled by our product and just having the insights to be able to know what are the kids responding to, what are they liking, what are the Anganwadi workers liking or needing, and what are the parents' main challenges in being able to be a strong pillar of development for their kids and being able to solve for that in real time as we go. And being able to adapt what we serve to what the actual needs are. And also then being able to encapsulate all of that and then present it as a strategic partner to various government officials at state and at national level. I truly think that we are an organization that bring the voices from the ground along with the evidence to the main discussion table, and that we strive with our partners to make sure that those voices are then heard and incorporated. And I think that has been one of the biggest things that gives Rocket, or it has the one that has earned us the privilege to be a part of this conversation and to be a contributor of one of the organizations that are trying to solve this problem. So having worked at various levels for education, been a teacher myself, been in operations, been in strategy planning, been in initiatives planning, been in government liaisons, I think the one vision that I would have for the ICDS system and all of its beneficiaries involved would be empowerment. We want to see parents empowered to be able to take decisions which help propel the development of their child even at a very, very young age, because that young age is a very crucial age. We want Anganwadi Didis empowered to not just be able to, of course, provide proper guidance and counseling on nutrition aspects, but also on education and a holistic development of the child aspect.